Hello. Okay, now is our Q&A time. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. A reminder to send it to everyone so all panelists can see the questions. And we'll just wait a couple minutes to see if anyone have any questions that come in, okay? Okay, so I do see one, and it is, hi, could you please tell more about surety bond? We would need you to be a little more specific about that. Oh, okay, so 25,000, where should I put it? I'm trying to understand your question. Can you please send a more detailed question about your a more detailed email about your question about the surety bond to our licensing email, and then we could go through that and discuss about it. Our licensing email is licensing@cslb.ca.gov.
Hello. So I'm looking to answer your name, Shakib. Sorry if I butchered the name. So in regards to the business name, that would depend on what business structure you are trying to establish. So for example, if you're trying to be like a sole ownership or a sole proprietor, you would first need to check with the county that you're going to be doing business in to make sure that the business name is acceptable. If you're referring to more like a corporation or LLC, then that's something that you will need to check with the Secretary of State's office, since before you submit your application, you have to first register the corporation or LLC. And there on their website, you can look it up. And if it's not there, or if it is registered, then you wouldn't be able to use the name. But if it's not available, or excuse me, if you can't find it there on the website, then that means it would be available.
Looks like the next question is the 25,000. Where should I put it? I'm assuming you're talking about the contractors bond. That is a $25,000 contractor bond, which is required on all applications. If you go to our website and pull up the application for original contractors license, there will be in the instructions all the information about what entities require which bonds and the amounts. And that is done at your issuance stage. After you've applied, gone through testing, they will send you a letter which states all of your bonding and insurance requirements at that point. The next question from Anthony. Under the study guides section. So the study guides as well as the exams use a variety of sources for the information used for testing. So they list all the resources, but not everything will come out of each one of those. They take bits and pieces from all of those resources to assemble the questions or variety of questions that they will have on the exams. So one resource won't have all of the information that is used on the exam. They use a variety of the resources listed. We have another one from Anthony. It's mentioned liability insurance is required for LLCs. Is there a specific amount? Once again, if you pull up the application for your contractor's license, it will show the information, especially for LLCs, the various bonding and requirements. The liability insurance is based off the number of people listed on the license. So you need to know how many people you're going to have on the license, and then look at the application. Will give you instructions on the amounts required for LLCs. Tao, do you have the email?
Yes, I typed it. I responded right underneath it. It is licensing@cslb.ca.gov. I did see that Ben also supplied the SOS website that Frank was talking about earlier for you to go and you could search up business names. I'm going to read the one from Andy, and it says, I am interested in getting my contractor license. I have read all the requirements and I am technically eligible, but due to my employers, I cannot take any pictures to prove my work. Government contractor employers, semiconductors, and homeland security equipment. My background started in refrigeration and I started as a regular technician. I was wondering if I can still apply. I have W-2 from work history, and I can have current and previous supervisors and managers vouch for my work. I just can't have any pictures to show due to security reasons. Andy, as we mentioned in the previous slides, you do need 4 years out of the 10. And in the application packet, there is the work certification page. So you mentioned that you do have previous employers that can vouch for it. So then they would be the one completing out that work certification page. They are the one that's going to pretty much document what you did, and they're the one that's going to certify it. We don't necessarily need photos, and Frank, you could correct me here if I'm wrong. But if the technician in charge of your application do need additional information, they will reach out to you. But that is the page, the work certification page that you will submit in, that will document pretty much all of your work history, and you will have that certified by someone like your supervisor or previous managers that have witnessed you completed the job.
Yes, and as the information Tal provided to you is correct, as well as we don't accept any type of photos as proof of any experience. There's no way to verify that the photos are work that a particular person performed. So photos of work are not required and are not actually accepted for verification of work. All right, so we have one from Paul. Hello, I've been working for a company as a head technician for over 6 years and have been 1099 during that time. My question is, will my 1099 work as proof of work? So the main form of documentation for experience is always going to be that certification of work experience, which is included in your application packet. That's going to be someone who has firsthand knowledge of the work you have performed. They're going to put out the time frame that they have firsthand knowledge of the work you have performed, and then detail the trades that they have verified firsthand knowledge of the work you have performed, and they're going to sign and date that as your certifier. Only if you went to the 3% verification of work experience would then the CSLB request that you provide other evidence that you actually performed the work claimed on the work certification. And then 1099s, W-2s, there's a list in the presentation, there was a list of documents which you can use to verify that work experience. But that would only be if you went to that 3% verification, and then they would tell you the various documents that they could use. Most important thing is certification of work experience, certified by someone who has firsthand knowledge of the work that you performed in the class you're applying for.
Damien, I'm gonna answer your question. So it looks like you're asking about the processing time. So typically, as far as applications go and how long it takes, that varies by case. So it can take anywhere from months or in some cases to years, especially if you need to take the exam. So say you didn't pass the exams the first time, then that's where your application process will take longer. It's usually when your application gets accepted, you have 18 months from the time your application is accepted to pass your exams. Otherwise, your application will time out and then you'll have to reapply again. So it's really just a matter of how long you pass or how long does it take for you to take the exams, pass them, and then from there, how soon it is for you to submit the insurance requirements prior to issuing the license. So it can, like I mentioned, we can't say for certain it'll be this amount of time. It just depends on the situation, but we've seen it go from weeks to months to even years.
Next question. I understand you said all experiences are case by case and we have to apply for that. However, is there someone we can meet with or talk with to get a rough idea? Unfortunately, just due to the sheer volume of applications we receive, there's no way for us to pre-qualify somebody. As the application and the workshop will describe, we're looking for 4 years of experience in the classification that you are applying for at a journeyman level or higher. And that will be verified and certified on the work certification by someone who has seen you perform that work firsthand, knowledge of it, that will fill out that form of what you have performed. Obviously, if the information is not what we're looking for, then we will reach back out for clarification. It does not have to be your employer. It could be, there are a list of about 6 different people that can certify your work. Fellow employee, other business associates, things like that. But it just has to be certified by somebody who has firsthand knowledge of you performing journeyman level or higher trade work in the classification that you are going for. What's the response time for licensing at cslb.ca.gov? We tried to respond right away, obviously due to the complication of the question or what we're actually looking for. Then it can take a little longer. We try to reply back to everybody within 48 to 72 hours at the very latest to at least get a conversation going on what information that you're looking for. All right. So I really want to get my contractor's license and I have lots of experience. I'd really like to talk to someone to get a rough idea to see if I qualify the requirements prior to applying it. Once again, unfortunately, we just don't have the workforce to pre-qualify an application. The best thing is if you have the experience, you have people who can certify 4 years or 48 months worth of experience. It doesn't have to be all the same person. If you worked on multiple different contractors on different projects, you can have however many people that have firsthand knowledge of you performing that job. They just fill out separate certifications for each one of them. Just make sure you have at least 48 months worth total of certifications by people who have seen firsthand knowledge of the work you performed in the classification that you're looking for, and submit that in, and we will review it at that time when we have your application.
So in case you may not, as far as your work experience, so say you may not sure you have the work experience, but you may not be sure of what classification it falls under, or maybe it's the work that you probably do is it actually encompasses different classifications. So if you're not too sure of what type to apply for based on your work experience, what you can do is send an email to our classifications deputy. It's classifications@cslb.ca.gov, and just try to provide a detailed explanation of the type of work that you do, and if you and just trying to get clarification on which classification that would fall under. So try to be specific. So I'll include that in the chat as well.
Okay, so the email is in the chat. It's at classifications with an S at cslb.ca.gov. That's all the time we have today for our workshop. Thank you for all of your questions. If you have any other questions about your application, we encourage you to drop an email to our licensing division. Our email is on the screen here, licensing@cslb.ca.gov. If at some point you need to reschedule your exam, you can get that process started by dropping an email to exams@cslb.ca.gov. That's also on the screen here. We've also put together a list of available resources for women considering a career in construction. If you haven't already, be sure to download this presentation to get them. You can download the presentation on the banner on the top of our homepage at www.cslb.ca.gov. If you're watching the archive video of this workshop on our YouTube page, you'll find a link to the presentation down below. We welcome your comments and topics for future webcasts. Just drop us an email to social@cslb.ca.gov. Special thanks to our Licensing Division and Public Affairs Office for their help on this workshop. The Get Licensed to Build workshop is a copyrighted production of the California Contractors State License Board. Thank you for watching.